at 6, which it was meant to be happening at 6, but we had a bit of a technical difficulty. So what I'm doing first of all is that in the live chat, I'm going to put a link to the mountain rescue. So I'll just put that up now if you would like to donate. Here we go, just putting that in now. There we go. That is on the chat, so you can always use that in the description as well. So excited. Now, where should we start? Obviously, the beginning. Day 1. We set off to Chepstow. I'm just getting my map up now so I can walk you through it. We got there nice and early. Sun was shining. Beautiful day. And then instead of walking 2 miles to the start line, we thought we'll get a cheeky taxi. So we got a taxi just to the start and we walked just down the path to the official start. But before we did that, there's a little tradition, and what you have to do is you have to go to the sea and find a little stone or a little pebble. You're going to keep hold of it for the whole journey. So that's what we did. We grabbed our little stone, we took our photos at the start line with the pups, with the dogs, and we set off. Beautiful day, sun was shining. So we started heading down. Once you get down the first mile, just under a mile, you're just getting through until you get to, I'm just looking at the name on the map, some woods, and the woods are called Morgan's Woods, and that's a beautiful little wooded area. There's not National Trust, what's the other one? English Heritage Site there. So there's a castle that you can see, and you get to walk down following the way all the way through. Now, day 1, like I say, beautiful weather, and we actually managed to walk further than we first thought. And this was probably due to the fact that we got there nice and early, the sun was shining, our spirits was high, we set off basically, we were going for it. So instead of camping where we were going to camp, we actually decided to go a little bit further. Now, this night was meant to be a wild camp. Now, where we were meant to wild camp, it was out of everybody's way. Obviously, we were going to pitch up late and then pack up early. We thought we'll have a look, we'll go down to the pub, get something to eat, and then when it starts to get dark, we'll come back up and pitch our tents. Now, where we were and we planned to pitch, we thought that's a perfect spot. Nice and flat, out the way. Literally 200 meters down the path. We come around the corner and there was a guy holding a machete. And we were like, okay. And the dog, he had a dog with him that was a crazy dog. It's come up to our dog, went to the campsite because we didn't fancy after we met that individual. To be honest, I think he was just doing hedge work, but I don't know, his demeanour and the way he presented holding a machete, yeah, something was off. And to be honest, didn't fancy getting hacked up in the woods the first night. No. Anyway, we got to the pub, village we went down to, Lower Redbrook we went down to, and we had a really nice meal in there, and luckily we managed to find a campsite just up the road. Well, say just up the road, it was actually about 2.5 miles, and it was off the way, so we did a little bit further that day, so we did 2.5 miles. And anyway, we got to the campsite, and the woman was really kind. We said that we were doing it for charity, so she actually upgraded us from our normal tenting pitch to a glamping pod. So that was perfect. Managed to get a bed for the night. Loved it. So awesome. Day one, we covered about 14 miles and the sun was shining and we managed to get a bed for the night. Obviously, we'd had that hiccup with the person in the machete, but apart from that, day one it went pretty smoothly. Traveling there, getting to where we wanted to go, and obviously getting the bed for the night. So day one, done. So next morning, another beautiful day. So the first couple of days, stunning weather. So we set off from our campsite and then we continued on our way to, we were planning to get to the start of the Black Mountains this day. So this was a 40k day and we actually had to do the 2.5 miles to get back from the campsite. So it was a big day that we planned. Now again, this day went a little bit differently to what it actually was meant to be. And these things do. When you do these long distance hikes, you do have to be open to changing your plans or doing different things. So we set off through the woods, and you're in the woods for about 2 miles. It's a nature reserve, so stunning nature, beautiful woodland. The flowers, the bluebells were just coming out. I went out today actually, and there was loads in the forest that I was in, but they were just coming out then. And you start to follow that valley, the Wye Valley, and it's stunning, the Wye Valley. It really is nice. Following that River Wye is stunning. So we head down the way and we come to the first, and to be honest, one of the biggest towns on the way, Monmouth. I think that's how you pronounce it. A lot of these towns are in Welsh, or they're pronounced in a slightly different way because of them being Welsh, or sometimes they're just on the border, so it might be like Celtic pronunciation. So if I get it wrong, I apologise. Bear with me. Anyway, so we resupplied in that town. It was quite nice. We managed to get a sausage roll from the shop, and go back there because they actually had a market on that day. So I would have liked to have spent a bit longer in that town. Obviously, like I say, it was a 40-kilometre day plus the extra miles we did. So we couldn't really spend much time in there because 28 miles over the day is a long time. So we started heading back down onto the route. And after about 5 miles from Monmouth, you start to see the Black Mountains in the distance, in the far distance, and they are stunning. The way they come out of the surrounding area and kind of overlook is something to behold. Obviously, that being the start of like the Brecon Beacons. Well, the day went on and we carried on, and it was all looking good. However, we started to get a bit hungry, and obviously we were planning to camp at the top of the Black Mountains. We're going to wild camp up there. Again, tents up late, get away early. Now, this is kind of when the journey starts to change, or the weather started to change. There was an issue for a weather warning. Now, it wasn't anything too dangerous, but there was a start of a weather warning of wind. Now, this night, the night we were meant to be camping there, it was only meant to be around 20 to 30 miles per hour wind. Now, let me just adjust that slightly. 20 to 30 miles per hour wind. It's not too bad. However, The tents we had were backpacking tents. They're not our usual bad weather tents because we wanted to be lightweight. And I'll talk about the kit that I use after I explain each day. And we kind of thought we might have to camp a little bit lower down. So that was our plan at this point. We were thinking, okay, we might not be able to camp on the peak, on the very top next to the trig point or near the trig point. Obviously, you have to be about 100 yards, 100 meters away from a trail, really, if you're well camping. So I thought we might have to camp a little bit lower down. That was our initial plan. Then, as the day progressed, obviously we were getting hungry, and it was getting towards the end of the day, and we came to this pub called the Rising Sun, I believe it was. It was either the Rising Sun or Setting Sun, one of the two. Anyway, we went for a meal in there, and they actually had a campsite behind in the pub. So we had a meal, and we just said, are there any spots available? They said yes. So we decided to take off a couple of miles on day 2 and add it on to day 3, because day 3 wasn't going to be the longest day we had. So it was perfectly fine to add on the extra miles for the next day, which we did. So we didn't have to worry about the weather. It was much safer, and we got a shower, a meal, and everything was perfect. So we started to pitch our tents, and then there was actually a few people setting up, because this was Easter weekend. So there was actually a few people setting up for the next day, because I think they were having an Easter party. So it was quite nice having a chat. There was another people next to us walking the same route, the Offas Dyke route, but they were doing it in a slightly longer time frame. They had, I believe they had 11 days, so they had a longer time frame to do it. Obviously, we only had 9 days, with it actually being more like 8 days, because you've got 2 half days and then you've got your 7 full days. So even though it's 9 calendar days, it actually works out more like 8 days. Anyway, that was perfect for that night. So that was the end of day 2. Start of day 3 then. Now, I was really looking forward to day 3 because it was the time we were going to walk over the top of the Black Mountains and get to a little place, a little village called Hay on the Wye. I kept on calling it, no, see, I've done it then. It's called Hay on Wye. I keep calling it Hay on the Wye. It's because the village is actually called Hay, and it's on the River Wye. The River Wye runs through it. So that's why I call it Hay on the Wye rather than just Hay on Wye. But anyway, I digress. Black Mountains. So we started day 3, and like I said, we added a couple of extra miles onto the day that day because we camped at the pub rather than on top of the Black Mountains. And this is where the Offas Dyke Trail and the Bracken Beacon Trail kind of come together for a certain amount of time. So we're heading up, and again, the weather is on the turn. So we're heading up, and it's not windy like it was forecast. So we didn't have to worry too much about the wind, but we've lost that nice sunny days. We had the first 2 days with beautiful sunshine. We kind of lost that on the 3rd day. It was a very hazy day going across those Black Mountains. You could just about make out some of the scenery when the cloud lifted for a short period of time, but you didn't get those stunning views where you could see for miles and the sun shining. So I was really disappointed about that. I suppose the only benefit is it makes me want to go back again. So I'm going to have to go back there to get that view, to try and see what it's like on a nice sunny day, because it was quite easy. One thing I didn't quite expect is there's a lot of like ponies or horses that were up on top of the Black Mountains. I imagine they belong to somebody, unless they're like the ones in the New Forest where they're kind of owned, but they're not. They're just kind of free. Might be a bit like that. But yeah, there was quite a lot of them. Just adjust the webcam a bit. There we go. That's better. So there was quite a lot of them, and it was quite nice walking along the path, because once you got up onto the top of the Black Mountains, it was relatively flat. Because that's one thing, especially from day 4, shall we say, that I will remember Offas Dyke for. Hilly. Very, very hilly. We actually had a bit of a joke towards the end that was like, if you're not going up, you're going down, and I've never seen a flat for days. Because, yeah, it's hilly. So anyway, we got on top of the Black Mountains, and basically that was our route for the whole day. On top of there, we collected a few trig points, because if you've been watching the channel, you know I like collecting trig points. If you don't know what a trig point is, it's about a 4-foot tall concrete pillar that they used to map out the country. I have done a video explaining a bit more about it, so if you want to check that out, have a watch. So anyway, we collected a few trig points along the way, and then we started heading again. It was a beautiful town, and it was more. Was it a town? Yeah, I suppose it was a town, but there's not a lot there. There's a few pubs. We had a really nice meal there. It's quite arty. They had quite a lot of art shops there. So they had like sculpture shops. They had actual art gallery shops, not just of scenery and mountains, but of all manner of things. So if you're into that sort of thing, that was a really nice little village, little town to go to have a little holiday there. I really enjoyed it anyway. So this was a day we did actually already Dyke. So you walk along, there's a little diversion, literally on a gate there's a sign saying turn left for, I believe it's Black Mountains View is the campsite. So walked up, went to the campsite, had a nice shower, and that was quite a nice evening. It was relatively relaxed. We got there with plenty of, because it wasn't the biggest day, and we got chatting to a few people again about doing it for the mountain rescue team, and that was a good day. I enjoyed it, and it was nice to recharge the batteries after 3 quite long days. Well, 2 long days, because the first day wasn't too long. So we camped there, and then we come to day 4. Day 4, gosh. Yeah. So, day 4. Started nice and early. Woke up nice and early. I think we got up 6. We were away for like half. Well, we wanted to be away for a little bit earlier than what we were. I think we were away for 6:45 in the end. I think we wanted to set off about 6:30, but you know what it's like. Packing the tent away, sorting yourself out, and time just gets ticking, especially with the dogs. So anyway, we set off straight up a hill. Then we're coming straight down a hill, straight up a hill, straight down a hill, and that set the tone for the day. And throughout the day, there was lots of hills. In fact, I will tell you the amount of ascent, because there's quite a lot. So, for the day, there was 1,499 meters of ascent, and then 1,420 meters of descent. And to put that into perspective, that's bigger than Ben Nevis. I think Ben Nevis, let's have a look. Ben Nevis height. Yeah, Ben Nevis is 1,345 meters, and that's obviously the tallest mountain in the UK. So we did quite a bit of up and down that day. However, there was another big problem, and it it kind of was my fault. A little bit of not being prepared, but at the same time, it wasn't. And that was my footwear. See, the shoes I took, the tread on the bottom of them was definitely on the way out. And I did know this, but I didn't really have time to wear in another set of shoes or another set of boots. One, because I was ill, quite badly ill. Not well. When I say badly ill, I just mean I was in bed for about 3-4 days, couldn't move. Nothing terrible. And I didn't really want to be wearing my boots, because if you've watched a West Highland Way video, that's another through hike. I do prefer wearing shoes on these long distance hikes. They're much lighter on your feet, especially for your legs. If you're some of the days I was doing like 60, 70,000 steps, and it's about like 500, 600 grams, can be more per foot less, and over 70,000 steps, it doesn't add up. So it just suffered a little bit with the grip. So as I was coming down the hills, I was slipping every now and again. And when you're kind of tired, wet, you start to get a little bit frustrated. Not only this, it was kind of towards the end of day 3 and definitely on day 4 that I injured my left ankle. I'm not 100% sure what I did. It could have been several things. I didn't think it was shin splints, because it was more the ankle. It was a little bit at the bottom of the shin, but normally shin splints, I've been told, is a bit more actually where your shin is. Could have potentially been a bit of ligament damage or a bit of muscle damage, whatever it was, a bit of pain kind of. Yeah, the only kind of plus side was it was actually better when I was going uphill. So when I was kind of out of breath and finding it hard going uphill, I wasn't in that much pain. But coming downhill, obviously trying to control my speed and not slip over a lot more, that's when it was starting to hurt. But yeah, I just had to keep going. And I think doing it for Derby Mountain Rescue Team, knowing that they need the money for they're building their own venue, because they've been renting one. When you rent somewhere, there's certain things you can do. They essentially could get kicked out, and it's just not the best base for them. So they're building this base, and I wanted to get as much money as I could, and I would have felt so guilty if I had to pull out, if I couldn't finish the walk. I thought about it a couple of times, but I just didn't want to play on my mind, because I knew if I start thinking about it, then I wouldn't be able to finish it. So we managed to come to a little village, and I got some ibuprofen, and that kind of took the edge off a little bit. And on day 4, you start to see more of where the Dyke was, where the Offas Dyke was, where King Offa built the Dyke with a wall, and nobody's actually sure whether it was to keep the Welsh out or to do with like taxes coming in and out of the country. Nobody's 100% sure, so I don't know. I don't want to speculate. But anyway, you start to see it much more prominently. It's much more prominent when you start to see it, because you actually walk on top of it and you can see the Dyke one side. And that's why there's a lot of up and down, because you're going in and out of here. And that's just where I did my ankle. But towards the end of the day, we got there. There was walked across a few very nice golf courses, because we started obviously just onto Hay-on-Wye, and there was a nice golf course at one of the sections, because we did one big section, rather than, you can split this into 3 sections actually. So you can go from sorry, 2 sections. So you can go from Hay-on-Wye to Kington, and then Kington to Knighton. Now we did that all in one section, but we planned to stop at Kington for some food. Had a mega burger. It was like chicken, fried chicken, then a beef burger, like 2 or 3 rations of bacon, coleslaw, onion rings, chips. So talk about a morale booster. That was stunning. That was pretty much halfway into that day's hike. So that was like 21, 22 kilometers into the walk. So pretty much halfway, because the day worked out about 44, 45 kilometers. So miles, 27 miles, I think 27, 28 miles. And then we carried on along the way until we got to Knighton at the end of the day. Again, we already had a campsite booked at Knighton. Now, when we got there, it was getting dark, shall we say. It hadn't been the best day. That day had actually been really windy. That was one of the worst of the days, and that's when the weather warning was well and truly in. So we were walking, got to the campsite. Really nice woman came out and was like, yeah, obviously you can camp. And then she goes, or we've just put a couple of beds in the pig shed. And I spoke to a few people and they were like, pig shed? But you know, when you walked like 27, 28 miles and you're thinking about pitching your tent in the rain to then sleep and then wake up and take down your tent in the rain, a pig shed actually, it's like 5 stars, because we had a bed and it was dry and we didn't have to put it up or take it down. So I was well and truly buzzing. In fact, we were so happy about it because we had a big lunch at Kington. When we got to Knighton, we actually ordered a takeaway to the pig shed. I think it confused the delivery driver a bit when just come to the pig shed. We got lost. So that was day 4. Now day 5 was quite a nice day. Not in terms of the weather, that it wasn't a very nice day in terms of the weather. But in terms of the walking, the distance, and this was our midpoint getting after this. After this day was our midpoint. So as we're walking, it's our hotel at the end of the day, basically. So walking and the rain from 9 o'clock. We set off a little bit later because we only had 30k to do that day. So obviously been in the pig shed before, we'll have a little bit of a lie in. We'll set off about 9. Well, actually, sorry, we set off a little bit earlier than that. I think we set off about 8, half 8, because we wanted to get to the hotel to use all of the time in the hotel. But anyway, it started raining at 9 and pretty much didn't stop until we got to the hotel. Again, even though it was a 30k day, it was hilly. There was a lot of up and downs. 1,147 meters. So basically Snowdon. It was a decent day. However, the landscape starts to change. So basically, that day, the very start, Kington, to walk in to, what's the name of it? Montgomery, probably pronounced that all wrong. You're walking through Shropshire, and compared to the Black Mountains and the Brecon Beacons, Shropshire is totally different. So the day we were walking across the mountains, obviously we were up high for most of the day. Well, we didn't, but you could normally see lots of decent views, compared to Shropshire, where, as you can tell there, it's still very hilly. But instead of going all the way up to like 400 or 500 meters, you're going up to like 200 and down 200 and up 100 and down 100 constantly. throughout the day, and there was much more. It turned much more into like farmland compared to just like moorland, and that continued into day 6 actually, where it was much more like farmland as well. Even though that isn't actually in Shropshire, I'm not sure the county, but you go into a slightly different county. Now, remembrance from day 4. This I was kind of glad it was a short day. I mean, it was still 30k, it's still quite long, but it was our short day, because at this point my ankle was quite bad. Just one of them, like every footstep was hurting. I ran out of tablets at this point, because you can only buy, well, I think you can buy 32, I don't know, but the woman only let me buy 16 for the last shop I was in. So at this point I'd run out of tablets, so it was hurting quite a bit that day, but the hotel was in my mind and it was good. So we got to the hotel, and luckily we managed to get some ibuprofen gel. So I put ibuprofen gel on it, I took the tablets, and I rested. We got there about 4 o'clock and we rested. We ordered room service, couldn't be bothered to go out, and just chilled. Luckily, we managed to get all our kit washed. That's another point. There was Hay-on-Wye. There's a laundrette in Hay-on-Wye which we used. So we used the laundrette on day 3, and then this was on. I don't carry that much, so it's good to get it clean. Yes, that's our target, 1k, and I believe we're very close to that. So thank you. I'll have a quick look now and see what we've got up to. Here we go. Let's have a look. I think last time I checked, we were around 900. I know a couple of people have still either said they'll donate, or they wrote down on the form, and we just need to collect the money to put it on the form. Let's have a look. Yeah, so we're £925. So I am hoping, and I do think, if my calculations are right, that we are going to hit that 1k target, because that would be amazing. So, I've put ibuprofen gel on my ankle. Still swollen, but, well, at this point I didn't actually know it was swollen. I could kind of tell, but I didn't really want to pay too much attention to it, because I didn't want it to start playing on my mind. And before I move on from day 5, I just want to mention, it was actually really hard for me day 5. There was a moment, and I think it might have been like an hour, where my head just went. My head went. I was thinking, I'm not even halfway yet, although we got to the halfway point that day, which did help quite a lot, because I thought if I can get halfway, then I'm there. So on day 5, just as we're coming out of Shropshire, you get to a signpost, well, a way marker, and it says 88.5 miles to the finish, 88.5 miles to the start. So you're precisely halfway. That did help, because I was thinking, right, I've got this far, I just need to do it again. So it did help, but at the same time I thought, wow, I've got to do it again. But anyway, for like an hour, my head just went. And now I don't run, and I don't do running. So I wouldn't be able to describe in detail about hitting the wall. I imagine it's a bit like this. My head was gone. I was in like a really dark headspace, like looking down. Didn't want to talk to my walking partner. I didn't really want to do anything. I didn't want to stop, but I didn't want to carry on walking. I was quite miserable, and there was just thoughts like, can I do this? My ankle's hurting. I'm hungry. I'm wet. It's raining. I'm fed up of going up and down hills. I'm fed up of slipping and sliding on this stupid mud. it's just anything like that, just like in your head. And obviously I didn't want to just like throw a tantrum, not like a child, but in your head you're doing it. In your head you are. But that happened for about an hour, and then the weirdest thing, I was walking, and then all of a sudden I've started to like talk to my mate Dom who I was walking with, and I just started laughing, and I could not stop laughing, like actually just laughing, and then I was all right. So I don't know what happened. It was probably just pure psychological. I just started laughing, and I was like, and I was back, and I was okay. I went through that moment of like hitting the wall, being down, not knowing if I could do it, doubting myself. And after, like I said, after about an hour, it just gone. It just faded away. For me, it was like that. Like 1 minute, I was down and didn't think I could do it, and the next minute, I'm laughing, loving the walk. So, just wanted to mention that because lots of people do like a short distance and they build it up and they build it up, and then there'll be a moment where they might get that. They might think, "Oh, I've hurt myself. It's raining. I'm bored. I can't see anything because there's clouds. I'm cold and wet, and they're miserable." And they go into that dark space, and that might be something that puts them off doing it. But if you can ride through that, you'll find that it's 10 times better, and you'll feel better about yourself because you managed to get through it. And having that resilience and determination is really good, not only for yourself, but to know that the bad times will only last for so long. And when I look back now, this is why I wanted to make sure I tell you now, because when I look back, I only thinking about the amazing parts, and even the bad parts, I'm thinking they weren't that bad, when at the time they felt horrendous. So yeah, that was on day 5 anyway. So like I say, at the end of day 5, got to the hotel and then started to feel much better in terms of my headspace as well. So day 6. Now I was a bit worried about day 6 because again it was a long one. It was going to be about 40k. However, this is probably the only day where you actually get to walk about 5 or 6 miles of flat, which was very nice. But there was still 882 meters of up and down. So, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Kinderscout, if you're from the Peak District. I think Kinderscout's about that. Kinderscout's only 636. Maybe Penny Ghent or Whernside, something around that. But so again, there's a lot of up and down. It was probably 2 big hills this day, and then lots of flat. Now this put a different situation in. So I mentioned about the wind earlier. Now on this day we were meant to be wild camping, and the wind had picked up, and it went from just kind of like a weather warning to can't remember if it was orange or amber. I don't know which one's worse. But it was the worse one for wind, saying it was going to get up to like 40 miles per hour and then gusts of like 60 miles per hour. And our aim was to wild camp in the woods. So as soon as we heard that, we knew we couldn't do it. We definitely didn't want to pitch our tents in the woods. If it's too windy, you just can't do it because you're in your tent and the tree can literally fall on you. As we were walking, we saw some trees had fallen. So we really had to think about this. And then luckily, I put a post on Facebook of the official Offas Dyke Trail, national trail, and I put a post on there basically saying we're doing this walk for charity. This is the only day we've now not got planned for accommodation or somewhere to stay. Literally, farmer's field, Airbnb, campsite, anything really. I'm just trying to find the post now. for somewhere for us to stay, because we needed to stay. Again, I'm going to pronounce this wrong. In the woods. So anyway, luckily there was somebody who we messaged, and they have a bell tent, and it was on Airbnb. So if you want to stay here, I highly recommend it, because it did us a solid and it was really nice. It's called Airbnb Bell Tent on Offas Dyke. So it was meant to be, oh, and then William, it says the host is William. Really, really sound person, really helped us out. So we managed to cut our day short, but the weather wasn't great that day. We did have some breaks in the rain, and I'm going to, because I filmed everything, I vlogged everything, and I'm going to put the video together. And you might watch this and then watch the video and think, what was he on about? Bad weather? Because those parts where the rain stopped or there was a break in the weather is when I did the filming, because there's no point just showing rain lashing down, because you can't see anything, you can't hear anything. So that would be why it looks better than what it actually was. But anyway, he actually said we could have it for free. Like I say, I think it was meant to be £60 or £70 for the night. He said, because you're doing it for charity, you can have it for free. I was like, that is amazing. One, because I didn't really want to spend £60, £70. Two, we didn't have to pitch our tents again. Three, would be safe from the wind. So we carried on that day, going through lots of little villages. There was a nice church that we stopped in. There was a couple of churches along the way, actually, that were really nice. Just little signs, just saying tea and coffee, like inside. I mean, I don't drink tea or coffee, but mate Don does. A couple of biscuits. You go in, it's nice to just get out of the rain sometimes. Just fill up your bottles, dead friendly. Tend to put like a little donation. They have a donation pot. I don't think you have to, but I think most people do, because you're paying for your own tea bags or whatever you have. So yeah, if you do the way, keep an eye out for those little churches. So anyway, that day, the wind and rain started to pick up, and we stopped. Where was the little village? There was a pub. So I was trying to find the name of the pub, but I couldn't find it. Oh well. And when we got there, it was a shame we didn't spend more time, because we actually he gave us some eggs, milk, bread. There's a little barbecue outside, and you can cook, and then the views are really nice as well. So it's a shame we didn't have much time, because we actually got there quite late. But I highly recommend didn't stay in there. It's probably better to stay there 2 nights, because you get like a fire pit, and if you're just there and then gone the next day, you don't get to use everything. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh, yeah. No worries about that. So we stayed there, even though we were in the bell tent. It was quite a cold night. I think it was the only night that actually went below 0. So I was glad we were in a slightly thicker material tent. And it was much better at dealing with the wind, because it wasn't quite on the hillside. It had kind of bushes down one side, and it was just tied down much better. I wouldn't have liked to have been in my little tent that night. It would have been sketchy, to say the least. So anyway, let's have a look. So the next day, day 7. Now, day 7 was when I kind of started to think about the end. I didn't really want to think about it until like the end of day 8, but I started to have it in my head. I started to think, right, one day at a time. Let's think one day at a time. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking about getting to the end. No, I haven't done that hike. No. Yeah, it definitely is in high winds. It's there's quite a few that get very sketchy in high winds. To be fair, which I'm not sure, but I imagine maybe like walking poles are probably better in high winds because you've got those extra extensions for if you do fall over. I might even start looking at walking poles because one, my knee can be a bit dodgy, and two, you can use them with like the Langshank Pro, like a hiking pole tent. So I am going to look into them, but it might take some getting used to kind of walking with poles like this. In terms of the Southwest Coast Pass, I've done parts. I've never done it in one go. I've luckily enough, I've got family that kind of live on both sides of it, so I've probably done like 30, 40 miles, not even 10% because it's like 600 miles. I think the next one for me would probably either be South Downs Way, Hadrian's Wall, or Cumbrian Way. I think they're the three I'm kind of looking at. There we go. So yeah, day 7. Again, the weather's at this point. I was kind of reserved, like, okay, we're gonna have this sort of weather for the rest of the trip. So we were heading down, and day 7 again, hilly, quite hilly, 1,200 meters of ascent, but we got to go through a slightly different. Trying to think, not style of, yeah, slightly different style of landscape again, because instead of it being a bit more commercial farming, it was kind of a bit more rural farming, if that kind of makes sense. We did encounter a few cows. Now, I don't mind cows, but when they start coming over to you and running at you and surrounding you, it gets a bit edgy. It's mainly because of the dogs, But luckily, the friend I was with, because there was 2 of us, one person can hold the dogs, the other can kind of push them away. So yeah. How did the dogs cope with the hike? The dogs did quite well, to be fair. So my dog Bo, she's done the West Highland Way with me, so she was quite experienced at kind of knowing when to chill out and when to like go, and maybe like not run as far around or do as much throughout the day. Because think if we're doing, say we're doing probably triple, well, Bo would probably be doing at least double that, and Ruben, the other dog, he'll be doing at least triple that, because every field we're going, he does a lap. He loves it. Obviously, there was quite a few times where we had to have him on the lead, walking through fields of livestock or anything like that. But overall, they did quite well. Ruben got a bit tired towards the end, though. Bless him. So day 7 was, now again, I must pronounce this all wrong, Langley. Yeah, I think that's it. This was a really nice day because I'm double checking that it is this day. Actually, I think it might be the next day. No, sorry, it's definitely this day. Day 7. Yeah, day 7. We got to walk over the highest aqueduct in the world, I believe. Definitely the UK. I have to double check the world. But basically, water, hence aqua, is going. There's a bridge, and the water's going over the bridge. So there's canal boats that go down there, and then you can walk along one side, and you look down, and it's a hefty way. Yeah. Now this is where the Offas Dyke actually splits off, so you can continue the like proper official off the Dyke Trail, and I think they've kind of realised that a lot of people want to. It's only a short diversion. A lot of people want to go over this bridge, so now they've kind of made it the unofficial way to go round. So I think that was the best thing to do, to go round there to see those views, and then we had something to eat after there. If you're ever in that area, if you're ever in, what's the town called? Yeah, so I'm going to say it all wrong again. Cheap. Newbridge. We'll just say Newbridge. It's near. It's in between that Langondley and Wrexham. And that is stunning there. And carried on that day and got to our campsite. So I really enjoyed that day. The second part of that day, after we went done over the bridge, was kind of just like, it was nice, but we were tired at that point. The rain was there again. It was just a bit of a slog to get back. The landscape changed again. Once we went over that bridge, it went to kind of a kind of Peak District-y. There was a lot of rock climbing because we were walking past a big rock face for quite a few miles. And the landscape kind of changed to be a bit more Peak District-y. There was even one point, to be fair, that felt a bit Highlands because we were on quite a high part and there was just nothing around until we started dropping back down to get into a little local village. I'm just going to quickly go through the chat because I can see there's a few bits. I've not looked at the Great Trail. The problem is there's so. Ideally, I'm going to do at least a minimum of one decent length trail a year. And when I say decent length, minimum 100 miles. But there's so many I want to do. There's just not enough time. Is that the one that is 15k mile in Canada? Oh, there are some really, really long trails. Like if you talk about proper through hiking, it tends to be like America, Canada, where I've seen a lot anyway. I'm sure they do it across Europe and Asia as well. But yeah, especially Justin Outdoors is a good one. He does a lot of those long distance through hikes. Did you think you did it in the right direction? Yeah, most people do it from south to north. So I would say it would do it the right direction. We were kind of having this debate actually, like, and every time I do it, every time I trail I go on, I always have this debate. Whether, do you think it would be easier doing it one way than the other? Would one way be easier than the other? I'm not sure. For me, south to north, logistically, was better for us. Yeah. See, this trail, there's some beauty in the start, totally different sort of landscape in the middle, and then at the end, it's very different as well. So there's like 3 different types. So for me, I would do south to north rather than north to south. If someone's done both, you'll have to let me know which one you think is best. But for me, I think we did it the right way. The only thing I would say is I would give us more time. I'd like to take more time and do it in like 12 days. So you wouldn't be as tired after each day. You can enjoy the town a bit more because although we pretty much ate out all the time, so we saw basically one nice pub for a meal, but then went away. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's have a look at day 8 then. So we're getting towards the end now. Yeah, see, we didn't meet anyone going south. No, sorry, actually, we met one person. Yeah, we met one person going south, and normally, because obviously everybody's kind of walking at the same pace going north, you only meet a couple of people going your direction, and normally you tend to meet quite a few going the other direction because obviously you're going to cross paths. But yeah, we only met one person going the other. Short, 30 day, still quite long, really. Um, let's have a look. Yeah, fair enough. Makes sense if that's where you live. May as well do it that way. So, the second part then. So day 8. I was quite looking forward to day 8. Weather again. So, what's the name of this man? So I can't. I'm sorry, I can't find the name of this. But anyway, so day 8, we started from Penny Strike. Penny Strike. Definitely pronounced that wrong. So Penystryt, however you pronounce that. And then it was quite nice, little walk, and then you start heading up, and it's a really nice little trail. And you start to see over to your left, you start to see Snowdonia, or we would have started to see Snowdonia, because the first till about 3 o'clock, it was pretty much a whiteout again. The hills were really nice that day. Actually, it was raining, but you could tell the weather was turning again. So we were getting back to decent weather, which was nice. It was just like little mist rather than heavy rain. So that was much better. And we were walking up, and anyway, we got to this little building, this little outhouse, and there was a trig point just there, and people were taking shelter because it was a lot of mist, very cold. Then 2 people came up, shorts, t-shirt, hiking poles, walking. I was like, "You all right?" They were like, "It's not raining, it's not training." I was like, "You're crazy," but I mean that's all right as long as you can get back safely, and that's kind of one of the things like the mountain rescue always say. It's like think of the worst case scenario. So say those people that were walking just in shorts and t-shirt when it's heavy rain and it's quite cold. Anyone can do it, no matter how experienced you are in the mountains. Anyone can twist and break an ankle or fall over and break something. We all fall over. It does happen. So say you break your ankle. Ideally, you can have service. But what if you don't? So then the person with you has to go get service. So then, even if they spend, say, half an hour going to find somewhere to get service, then they've got to ring it through to 999, contact Mountain Rescue. Then Mountain Rescue have to get there. Then they have to get to you. Then this is all before you can have any sort of first aid or any extra layers or extra warmth. So you really do have to think about it because you could be out in the elements for, to be honest, minimum 3 hours for them to get you. Probably longer, like 4 hours would be good if they can get to you in that time, and especially if you're really off the beaten track. So could you lie on the floor for less between 2 and 6 hours and not be severely weathered, exposure? I think you'd struggle there. I think you'd struggle. So that's when you really have to start thinking about your safety. Not just that, you have to think about the safety of the people coming out to save you. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I really appreciate this charity because I know I might break my ankle one day. I'd like to think I'd have some uh, wet weather and warm weather kit with me to help keep me comfortable until the support could get there. But it could happen to anyone. So anyway, we thought they were a bit crazy. Anyway, we started to head off back down the trail, and this was the day. It was like I say, the mist was lifting. it was quite nice that day. And towards the end, we managed to get some nice views, and they were stunning views. I wish it was like a sunny day, but they were stunning for what they were. And on a clear day, they would be phenomenal, because you could see 360 all the way around, and you can even start to see the sea. You can start to see the finish line, the coast, and that you can start to get there, and you can start seeing where the finish line is. After at this point, it's like 150 miles, 150, 155 miles of walking, and then you can see the finish line. You can even smell the sea, start to taste that finish line, and it gives you a big morale boost. So we head back down the mountain to Boffray. So Bodfari, Boffray. They pronounce everything differently. And we set up camp there, and we actually got a really nice little spot on the caravan. It was a caravan site essentially, but they were really nice. They spoke to us about the trail, spoke to another gentleman who even donated, who even gave us some money and donated to the cause, so that was really good. Then we went to a pub for something to eat, and it was a stunning little pub. It was actually built right next to a castle, up a hill, and it was really nice in there. The food was amazing, probably the best on the actual walk. And then we got to obviously think about the finish line. We started chatting about the next day, and it was really nice to think about getting to the finish, because when you're on the trail, it starts to literally like, it's quite typical, but eat, hike, sleep, repeat. Eat, hike, sleep, repeat. That's what you do just every day. And it starts to be really nice. But we're getting to the end. Obviously, our family, starting to miss our family a little bit. Feet very tired. Back starting to hurt a bit. And then obviously wake up on day 9, our last day. We set off, high spirits, and the best thing is the weather is back. The nice weather is back. We were told it was going to be a nice day, but I never believed the weather report, because it always seems to change. But it wasn't. It was nice. And we got back up onto those hills, and this is the day where you can see the finish line properly to your front. So north, west, you've got the Snowdonia, and you can even see snow on top of those mountains. And then you've got like the cities to your right, to the east, probably like Liverpool. And the scenery, that where you've got like city, coast, mountain range all around it, everything just looks so different. It's a real experience to watch there, to be walking through and just see it. That was pretty stunning. And as we were coming down, I tell you one thing though, as you're coming down, you can see the finish line, you can see the sea, but you're still like 7 or 8 miles away. So in your head, you're thinking, "Oh, I'm here, I've finished," but you've still got a bit of a slog to get there. And so it's tricky, because you kind of registered, you finished in your head, but you haven't. You've still got a decent way to go. But anyway, got to the finish. And you may remember, if you've been here for the whole stream, or if you've done it yourself, I carried a little stone 177 miles I carried that little pebble, that little stone, and I threw it into the sea the other side to kind of bookend my journey, to round off the journey, to finish it off. And that's that. That was the last day. I even got my walking partner, his partner, brought a bottle of fizz and opened it everywhere. Probably got rid of half the bottle and probably more, but it was worth it. Really enjoyed it. I'm just gonna have a quick flick through before I talk about the kit I used. So walking Derbyshire, hello. I've had to use Derby Mountain before. They were amazing team. Yeah, so they really are. They really are. Derby Mountain Rescue Team. Like people don't realise it's 365 days a year, 24/7, and these people are voluntary, which is remarkable. The longest day worked out being on my Garmin. It tracked 46.2 kilometers. So I'll quickly convert that for 46.2 kilometers to miles. 28.7. Wow, that's more than I thought actually. I thought it was about 28. 28.7 was our longest day. Yeah, that was long. Any more we're missing here? Yeah. Wow, did it in 4 days. That is very impressive. I tell you what, I watched a video of someone doing the West Highland Way, so that's 96 miles, and they did it in 24 hours. So some of these ultra marathon people can kill it. I wonder if anybody has done it in like 2 or 3 days. Yeah, that would be hard. That would be hard. I don't think I'd be doing it in that time, put it that way. Getting to the bottom now. Yeah, I'll have to have a watch of that video. I've walked. Yeah, it's good to walk every day. It's good for your mental health walking because you're outside is essentially where we belong. And you know when you do a trail like this, like that nomadic lifestyle of like carrying your stuff and going from place to place, that's essentially what we were like thousands of years ago. So it's kind of going back to your roots, and you really feel that. And if you can block away from your phone, sometimes it's nice not to have signal. Block away from work, truly relax. I don't mean sitting in front of the TV. I mean like just being at one with yourself, relaxing, and sometimes not even having a thought, just processing, being present in the moment, and that's really beneficial. Oh, yeah. Wow, lots of people doing it then. What are we on to that? No, not bad at all. It's good for you, that. 10 miles a day, good. You can walk as much or as little as you can, but if you get out, that's great. Right, let's have a little chat about kit then. So, with my kit, obviously got 3 big ones. So you got your bag. I just use a 35 litre low alpine. That's something I'm looking to upgrade because it's quite heavy. It is a structured pack. It's really nice for keeping airflow to my back, but it is a bit heavy. So I'm probably looking at changing that. Atom packs, they look really nice. I've heard some really good things about them. So I'm looking at potentially getting one of those. My tent is a Vic One, nice and light, one person Vic One. Don't have the ground sheet with it, just you don't need it. You heard all the places I was camping at. Most of them are just grass pitches, and even if it's a little bit rough, it's fine. Then I have, what's the roll mat? Thermarest Neo. What one is it? Let's have a look. Thermarest Extreme Large. I have the large and the wide because I like to be able to lie on it and my arms not fall off the pad. Not only that, I've mentioned that my dog comes with me. So often I'll lie on my side, and I've only got like a small dog, and she'll kind of curl up next to me. It's nice to have the room, the fact that I can sleep on the pad and she can curl up next to me on the pad and not be falling off. So this was the first trip I really tested that pad. I've heard great things, and it really was. Obviously, they've got their new one out now, the NXT, I think it's called. The price tag on it is expensive, but I'm sure it's amazing. But I got this one in the sale, so it will do me for hopefully years to come. Then, obviously, I have all my filming gear that I take with me. I only take basically 2 sets of clothes. I only take 1 set of trousers, but the trousers can be zipped to become shorts. Basically I wear a set of clothes and then I pack a set of clothes. I take a couple of mid layers. So I wear a mid layer, pack a spare mid layer, and then I have my waterproofs. I've tried to make it so I don't carry loads. Tried to make it so it is light, because you will find the longer you do and the more distance you do on your hike, the harder it is if you're carrying heavy weight. You don't want to be carrying like 20 kilograms. You just, your back will be knackered, you'll be knackered, and you'll really struggle. So the rest of my kit, I'm trying to think of like, I don't take a cooking stove, which shocks a lot of people, but it's because on these walks, you tend to go through a nice village each day. I like to have a nice meal each day. I do take 1 ration pack. And the reason for that ration pack is basically an emergency, because you can pour cold water into it and eat it, and you're going to get the calories inside you. Might not taste the best because it's not warm, but it's about looking after yourself. So if you've not managed to stop at a pub, if you've not managed to grab a sandwich anywhere for later, it keeps you kind of more psychological. Like, I know, it's like I've got a meal there that's like 700-800 calories, absolute worst case, and that will get me through. So that's what I take. In terms of stuff for the dog, then obviously I have to carry all of her food, because you can't buy dog food. Well, you could, but it might not be the same sort of dog food. Especially Bo, she has pancreatitis, so she can't tolerate high fat foods. She's a bit tricky on long distance hike because she needs the calories. So I do carry all of her food, which is why the hotel was so important, because I could ship there the second lot of the journeys of her food. I also take, it's like a towel thing that she wears. It's like a dressing gown for dogs, basically. And that's mainly because if she's soaking wet, I don't want her getting in the tent soaking wet with me, to be fair. She probably don't want to be in the tent soaking wet. She wants to get dry. And so, yeah, so I take that. Take a little microfiber towel, and I use that for myself. And if she's terrible, I'll use that for her as well. She has, because she's got pancreatitis and because she can't have high fat foods, she does lose out on some nutrition, because some fats are good for you. So I give her like multivitamin tablets that the vet said to give her, so I'll give her that. Obviously a dog bowl. I take a filter for my water, little first aid kit. I am going to do a video of everything I took and say, would I take it again? How much I used it. So that'll help you out. I do have a little air pump because it doubles up as a little light, and I think it weighs 85 grams. So you could kind of call it a luxury. If you're ultra lightweight, you're not going to use it. You're just going to probably use the air sac or just blow into it. But for that, it's nice and easy. And I used it and my mate used it. So we doubled up on the kit there. So I think that's pretty much in terms of the kit. In terms of the weight, including the dog's food, so basically everything apart from water, I think it come in at 9.7 kilograms. So not mega light. Ideally, I like it under 10. I want to try and get it under 10 with at least a litre of water in there. It would be easy for me to go lighter without the dog. In terms of her food, on the first day, I think it's like 1.7 kilograms just of her food. It's definitely over 1.5. So say 1.5 kilograms of her food. Then you got her towel. Then you got her bowl. So I'd probably say for me, taking the dog, it is probably about an extra 2 kilograms I'm carrying. But I don't mind that. The value of having her with me versus the extra weight is definitely more having the dog. I love having her on my adventures. I love having her on my through hikes. So that's fine. I might do a shorter one where I don't take the dog, maybe a couple of days, and just see how light I can go, just for my own personal curiosity. I'm just going to have a quick look at the comments. I prefer hiking. I just don't go to the gym. I have done a video about that, but the gym versus hiking, and personally, I think you get more from hiking. Yeah, there we go. So I think that's pretty much it. One thing I'd like to say is, if you have enjoyed the stream, please give it a thumbs up. Please let people know about the channel. If you can, please donate. It really helps the mountain rescue team. And if you're ever stuck and if you're ever in trouble, you can kind of in your own peace of mind, you're like, I've helped them, instead of getting hurt and then trying to raise money for them. If you can like give a little bit, it does. It's good karma, let's call it that. But yeah, thank you very much. Oh, tried with mine. Oh no, barking. Oh, see, she doesn't bark when she's in the tent. And the good thing with her is, I know I only kind of do it when I'm with friends, because I wouldn't leave her on her own. But if my mate's in his tent, I can leave her in my tent, have a shower, and then come back and know she's not gone anywhere. So she's quite good. She does love the tent. I got the tent out today actually, because it's been raining and I needed to get it out to get it properly dry and clean it up. So I just did it in the house, and she went and got in there straight away and sat down. I was like, we're not going out today. She does love it. But yeah, I think that's everything. There is going to be the vlogs coming out in the next few weeks. There's going to be the kit I took and the kit I used coming out in the next few weeks. And I've got lots more camping trips in the Peaks, Yorkshire, Wales again, Lake District. So loads more content coming your way. So thank you all for watching. I'm going to say bye from me, Rob, and another day, another walk. Bye.